In this episode, I talk about the benefits of taking time off of work. Get pumped because this is Tiny Leaps, Big Changes. Welcome to another episode of Tiny Leaps, Big Changes, where I share simple strategies you can use to get more out of your life. My name is Greg Clunas, and a couple of weeks ago, I guess I just got back this time last week, or tomorrow last week, so Wednesday of last week. That is probably the easier way of saying this. I got back from vacation. I went on a 1-week vacation. My family and Rachel, we went down to Jamaica. Spent the first couple of days with my family there that still lives there. So my grandma, it was her 90th birthday. Happy birthday, Grandma, by the way. She doesn't listen to the show, so I don't know why I said that. But anyway, my point is we spent those first couple of days with my family. And then the last couple of days we spent at a resort, just sort of hanging out, enjoying the beach, relaxing, and taking some time off. And as a result of that, I put together episodes for last week and the week prior because I knew I was going to be gone during those periods of time, but I didn't have an episode for today. So the reason it's coming out so late is because I'm literally recording it today at noon and dropping it in today for you because I want to make sure that I hit my release schedule. So that's the reason for that. But what's interesting here is that I came across some really amazing benefits of taking some time off. This is something that, quite honestly, I've needed for a while. I've been going non-stop since, I guess, like last September, October, just heads down. Let's make stuff happen. I've had a ton on my plate. I had a book deal, this podcast, a consulting business. I was working a full-time job. I was trying to stay in good shape and health and going to the gym regularly, spending time with my girlfriend, spending time with family, all the stuff everyone has, plus some extra stuff. And I don't want to complain about that. They're all amazing opportunities and I couldn't be more pumped for them. But I did need some time off. And so having now come back from that and having the time to think about what that gave me, I've come up with 3 really solid benefits that you gain from taking some time off, that separating yourself from your work can give you. Now, these benefits are primarily around work, your career. However, it's really beneficial for time off in anything, whether it's in your gym schedule or your diet or whatever it is. Taking that time away from it when you've been heads down focused still gives you these 3 big benefits. So let's jump into them. Before that, I just want to remind you to click or tap that subscribe button wherever you are consuming this. If you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe there, leave a comment in the description. If you're listening on the podcast, click subscribe there, leave a rating and review. Let's get into the list. So the first big benefit is a renewed focus. Now, one of the things that we all do if we're trying to accomplish something, if we're trying to work towards something, we have a goal, is we gain this sense of focus in the beginning. The reason we work so hard, the reason we push as much as we do is because we are focused. We are dialed in. We've taken the time to figure out what we want, where we're going, and how this work connects to that. And as a result of doing that work, of figuring that out, we've put ourselves in a position to be incredibly focused. The problem is that over time, that focus wanes. Over time, we get lost in the weeds. Over time, we start to switch our focus from that end result we're trying to create to the day-to-day grind, which is not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing at all. It's important to make sure that we are pulling our benefit and our result and that feeling of accomplishment from the grind, because that's the thing you're going to spend the most time with. However, it's also important to maintain that focus to the long-term thing. When you take time off, when you separate yourself from that grind, it allows your mind to gain the space it needs in order to reconnect to that focus, in order to reconnect to that end goal. This is one of the major benefits of taking time away. It is one of the biggest things you can do for yourself. So definitely, when you do take some time off of your job or whatever your career is, if you run a business, or even just your gym routine or your diet or whatever it is, take the time required that you now have to think back on what that end goal was. And while you're at it, quite honestly, take the time to measure up where you are in relation to that, because most likely you've made a lot of progress. If you are truly heads down, focused, getting it done, you've made a lot of progress that you don't know you've made. So during that time off, use that time to reconnect to your main focus, reconnect to your goal, and to do a quick audit of how far you've come so that you can celebrate and start to feel proud and come back into your work renewed in your focus. Number 2 is to reconnect to your why. Now, I know this sounds similar to the focus from before, that end goal that you're working towards, but it's really not. It's the underlying reason for doing it all. However, you run into this issue for the same reason that you run into the issue with number 1, in that when you are heads down in it, it's difficult to keep your attention on why you're doing it, on what this means to you, why this needs to happen. If you're working really hard because you want to send your kids to school one day in the future, to college, to university, and in the process of working really hard, you forget what that why is about because it's frustrating, because it's difficult, because each and every day is a challenge, all of a sudden it becomes easier to quit. It becomes easier to stop doing it. It becomes easier to back off and not put as much energy in and not stay as focused and not be productive. But if you can take the time to reconnect to your why, if you can take the time to reconnect to your kids, to better understand why you wanted to send them to school, because your kid is a freaking genius and he deserves, or she deserves, the chance to go back to school. If you can reconnect to that feeling, that emotional why for doing this, you're going to push yourself so hard. You're going to come back to the table ready to slice everybody's throat because you're just gunning. You're just ready to go. You want to give them that. You want to allow them that opportunity, that emotional tie between what it is you want and the why that you are doing it is so incredibly important. And unfortunately, in our day-to-day, in our hustle, in our grind, we forget what that is. We lose that connection to it. And taking time off, taking a vacation, going away, going out of town, being out of your space, being out of where you normally work and around the people you normally are, can help you to reconnect to that why and better connect back to it once you get back into the job. So it's similar to number 1, but I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to take that time and really think about why you are doing this. Why are you hustling? Why are you working hard? Why are you trying to make this happen? Why does this matter to you? If you can get that idea back and bring it to the forefront of your mind, you're going to put yourself into a position to come back as a goddamn killer, ready to take everybody out in order to make your thing happen. And then the third big benefit, the third piece of the puzzle that you gain from just taking a break, from stepping away from it all, is that you open your mind to the possibility of new directions. This is something that I actually gained so much value from on my trip when I was down in Jamaica with my family, with Rachel, and spending time away from this podcast, away from the community, away from my consulting agency, was just this new idea of where I could take things, of what I could be doing better, of the direction I wanted to go, and of what mattered to me and what I was trying to build. See, it's really difficult when you're in the thick of it, when you are day to day dealing with all of the stuff you deal with. It's really challenging to actually sit down and think about where you're trying to go. It's difficult to think about the new opportunities that are in front of you because it's overwhelming. There's so much going on, and you need to manage the day to day. So of course you're not questioning things. Of course you're not starting to think about the new directions you can take. But when you take some time off, when you move back, you allow yourself that opportunity, and it is huge. It is amazing. I came back to this show knowing exactly what I wanted to do differently, what I wanted to accomplish with it, how I wanted to better use my Instagram, how I wanted to better use my YouTube. I came back feeling refreshed, refocused, reconnected to my goals, and a better understanding of the direction I wanted to go in. And that was only possible because I took some time off, because I stepped back and allowed myself the time I needed to really think about those things. It was huge. It was so incredibly important. And I highly, highly recommend it for you as well. So those are the 3 big benefits. Those are the benefits I've noticed. If you've noticed more, definitely leave them in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, or hit me up on Twitter, on Instagram, at Greg Clunas if you are listening on the podcast. Just as a quick recap, those 3 benefits are: number 1, reconnecting to your focus; number 2, better understanding your why; and number 3, gaining new direction and new insight. Definitely take that time off if you've been considering it, whether it's for your job, your business, the gym, your diet, whatever it is. Take that time off. However, make sure that you come back and that you get right back into it, because time off is only time off if you start again. Time off should not be permanent. It should be a break that you come out of eventually. So take that time off, whatever time it is you need. Spend some quality time during that time off thinking about these things, better understanding why you're doing it, what your focus is, and where you could be going. And you will come back, just like I have, fired up and ready to dominate. Personally, I'm excited for the rest of 2018. This time off was very necessary, and you're going to start seeing some straight fire on my Instagram, straight fire on YouTube, and straight fire on this podcast. So definitely make sure you are subscribed and that you follow me over on Instagram at Greg Clunas. I've been Greg Clunas. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. It really means the world to me that you will spend any amount of time with me, to be perfectly honest. But the fact that you've listened to this episode and that you've consumed this episode and shared that with me, it means the world. If you thought it was valuable, share it with one person that you think could benefit, one person who you know is stressed out and needs to take some time off. Share this with them so that they can see the benefit of it, so they can get the value of it. Again, I've been Greg Clunas. Thank you so much for being here. And remember that all big changes come from the tiny leaps you take every day.